Good morrow, nerds! Hello! This week on the LARP House, you are going to watch my descent into madness as I attempt to make a full articulating chest and back plate of LARP armor in 3 days. Why? Because when your boyfriend doesn't have any armor for his character for the LARP event that weekend, you answer the call. That's why. Also, when presented with any decision that involves time management, I usually just go full potato and commit to everything because I'm a pathological people pleaser. So by the end of this, you will have no soul and probably die and have severe hand cramps and really need a back massage, but hey, you're gonna have some badass armor, my friends. Oh yes. So without further ado, I give you the 3-day armor challenge, The Reckoning, a tragic comedy written by me and directed by Anthony Bellisario.
Safety glasses, Dremel Tool, another Dremel Tool, Dremel bits, a cutting one, a drilling one, and a sanding one, safety gloves, Epoxy, Loctite Epoxy, Loctite Ultra Seal, whatever, Respirator, buckles and straps, Fiberglass resin. Okay, so we got a plastic primer here. And a heat gun, you just need like a basic one. Sandpaper blocks in high and low grit. Razor blades, googly eyes, contact cement, lots of foam brushes, popsicle sticks, a rivet gun, school glue, fiberglass cloth, pour-on, and EasyCast resin. You don't really need the pour-on though, just the EasyCast. Acrylic paint, foam that you can just buy at a craft store. You need the 6mm thickness or a 1/4 inch. Vinyl gloves or latex gloves, doesn't really matter. Brown paper for patterning, Smoothcast 65D, and a whole truckload of it. Patterning is a lot easier than most people will say it is or will make it look. Really, it's just a bunch of trial and error. I'm fortunate enough to have a spandex suit on my dummy so that it's got a nice center line already. And if you don't have a dummy, we will link to how to make a duct tape dummy. Get to going. You're going to need your brown paper and some masking tape, which I forgot to mention in the materials, but you will need that. And a Sharpie. Look at me. So young, so full of hope. Such dreams I had. So here is where you're pretty much deciding how high up your armor is going to come on your neck. From my reference image, it comes up pretty high. It covers the collarbone. Seems wildly uncomfortable, but whatever. You come up to back here. I'm gonna mark where the middle of the shoulder is and probably cut it there so that I can tape it down. Curve it around. Find where you want your arm to be. So you bring it up a little bit. That actually pretty much marks the halfway point. So what I'm doing here is I am folding the paper in a way that makes it fit. And this is my patterning trick. Once you fold it one way and then you make the crease. And then you fold it the other way. So then you have a very clear kind of arrow shape. And you just draw a line there. Probably make this 2 separate pieces. And that is where you will cut. So yeah, so we've got that shape kind of rounded. I'm going to go ahead though and make that armpit hole a little deeper. That's my folding trick. And when we cut this in foam, we're gonna have like a slightly beveled edge on this so that it will bend properly, slightly beveled. Redraw your line and make registration marks. The rest of the armor, like, it's just 2 straight, flat panels that just attach with rivets to the sides here, so easiest thing in the world. Lift about an inch.
That gives it plenty of room for a rivet. So that it registration marks. Now all we have left to do is to make that one back panel that we're going to duplicate. Tape it. So that's it. You've got all the armor pieces, or all the pattern pieces that you need. You can just start taking it off the mannequin and cutting it where it needs to be cut.
Do not forget to label your pieces, otherwise you're just gonna be confused as all shit.
And then I'm gonna cut it along the line I made earlier with the registration marks. Alright, got our pattern pieces. Let's go lay them out on the film.
Alright, now we're tracing that shit. Trace it, label it, do what you gotta do. It's gonna be great. And we cut. Hold your razor blade at a straight angle, as straight as possible, and use a fresh razor blade whenever you can. And then once you cut out the first set, flip it over, trace it. That'll be your second half. Remember to label the crap out of everything. Now for assembly, we're gonna put some contact cement, just slap that crap right on all the edges. And I put 2 coats on everything because the foam absorbs it a bit, and then just stick it together, try to make it flush. Now these bend a little bit because I slightly beveled one of the edges there. Slightly. The key is slightly. And then I forgot to allot for the material that was taken away when I made that fold, so I'm just adding it back in at the bottom there. Contact cement, slap it in. And amazing. Try to keep it as flush as possible. And then these, they're just literally long rectangles. It barely matters.
Okay, friends, we're on to heat shaping our armor. Let's go.
Here, I am altering the pattern a little bit. I'm making a dart towards the top because it's a little flat.
Now we actually have the dude that this armor is for that I've been talking about all day. As you can see, some things kind of need to change.
Alright, so when heat shaping, remember to only heat shape a little bit at a time. Do not spread your empire too thin. And when the foam starts to kind of curve back towards you from the heat, when it starts to buckle back, that's when you know it's time and it's ready. Tape it to the nice boy. It's all good. Just little bits at a time, my friends. Little bits. Baby steps.
Super unpleasant. Surprise.
Yeah, that's me remembering what burning yourself with a heat gun is like. Do not heat gun your fingers. It's not fun. Oh, look at that look. It's a lot of waiting. Bend the foam, hang out, think about your life. Heat it up, bend it, hang out. Heat it up, bend it, hang out. And then once you're done, you just sand the crap out of those seams because they might not have been completely flush. Just with the high grit sandpaper, just friggin' attack it. And then we're gonna prime the entire thing with glue before we start coating it with resin. Because when you don't do that, the resin can flake off and be just friggin' weird, and we don't like weirdness. Here at the LARP house, weirdness is not what we're about at all, so we're just gonna eliminate that. And here, I'm mixing the smooth cast. This stuff sets in about 1 minute, so you've got like T-minus 30 seconds to get all this stuff on. So you want to mix just a teensy bit at a time. And I put about 11 coats in total of resin on this thing to make it hold its shape. And it's gonna look pretty freaking ugly when you're done. Don't worry about it, we're gonna sand it. And here we're cutting off the excess of the edges with my super cool safety glasses. I waited to heat shape these pieces till the final shape of the chest plate and the back plate was set so that it would fit to them exactly.
Alright, now we're ready to prime these with glue and resin them too. That rhymed. Hey there, kids. Okay, we're getting on to the grown-up stuff now. Got the fiberglass resin and fiberglass cloth, and we are going to lay the fiberglass fiberglass on the inside of the armor that we have resined on the outside so that we can sand it down later, like sand the crap out of it. It's gonna be great. It is 10 drops of hardener per 1 ounce of resin, and I have a cup here that measures how many ounces, and I just got this at Home Depot, so super cheap. Make sure you have a respirator, because this stuff is no joke. And, you know, we have moved, obviously, out to the garage for this, so do that if you can. So, let's get started.
Alright, so you're going to cut out your fiberglass cloth strips and just get prepared for one of the most grueling experiences of your life. I hate fiberglass, and I will not make that a secret. I hate it with a passion. It's sticky and sharp at the same time. How does anything manage that? No, do not like it. We're just adding our resin hardener to the resin. The more hardener you add, the faster it will cure. And then mix it up just really freaking well. Then I just put on a thin coat of the resin as a glue. And then when you lay down the fiberglass that I hate it so much, you want to lay it down in crisscrossing strips as much as possible. The more cloth you have going in different directions, the stronger your structure will be. And I put on about 3 layers so that everywhere is like fairly thick until I was happy. And what you saw me do just there is take out the resin that had hardened before I could use it. It looks just like a wonderful pile of cow poop over there, so just get that done. And then if your armor starts to lose its shape, use those bricks to hold it. And now here I'm doing the front and back panels that cover the abdomen one at a time so that I can be doubly sure that even if the fiberglass warps, it's going to be the right shape. So I wait till the first one hardens, and then I'm doing the second one inside of it so that it can't lose its shape. And it got a little bit warped, so I'm going to heat shape it again, which is fairly easy to do with smooth cast. It's really easy to heat. And then we're just going to sand the ever-loving crap out of it. You want it to be as if it has snowed in wherever you are sanding. You just get all the lumps out. Take a Dremel, get out the bigger lumps, sand it some more. And here you wanna clean up the edges because fiberglass is super duper pokey, and if you don't, your boyfriend is gonna get stabbed more than a voodoo doll of Adolf Hitler. So that's not the experience you want to give someone wearing your armor. So you gotta sand the edges, and you gotta sand the inside of it as well. Fiberglass is so sharp, like splinters, but also invisible. So sand off the pointy bits. Please, for the love of God. Possibly enlist some help, because sanding with that tool can really cramp up your hands. It's okay, it's probably just nerve damage. And then it's time to make the pattern for the topical, like, decorative pieces of the studded leather. And so, you know, I just make a pattern like I always do. Find the center line, fold the paper in half, draw from it, trace it, cut that shit. Find where you have to make the dart so that it fits. Cut that out, trace it onto the thing, making sure you've got your center line down. Then just slap a bunch of contact cement all over it. I put one coat on, and then put another coat around the edges, and oh man, just lay it down super carefully. Geez, we are about to witness a freaking tragedy. I dreamed a dream in time gone by, when hope was high and life worth living. Then after you try to correct your supreme bullshit that you just made happen, overlapped it a little bit accidentally, you just cut it off and then sand the crap out of it to try to fix your bullshit. And then we do basically the same thing, making the pattern for the second layer, trace it on, cut it out, contact cement the shit out of it, and then attach it. Start on one side and smooth it to the other. And here we go. This is like 2 a.m. at this point, maybe? What does it mean about my life that it's about 2 a.m. and I'm gluing googly eyes onto a piece of armor? These are going to be studs later. And then we get around to the actual repairing of the bullshit. Using DAP Quick Seal here. It shrinks a little bit when it's dry, so I'm probably going to go over that with a second coat later, but for now we're good. Smooth it out with your finger, because you don't care anymore at this point. Here I'm making the center line, where the actual center line lies on the pieces, so that I can have a center point from which to make my pattern. And I'm just doing the exact same thing that I did on the breastplate. I'm gonna do it like 5 times at this point. No, wait, that's 6. 6 times total. Really not much to say here, except for the fact that I'm losing my mind. I don't have the steadiest of hands on a good day. I don't know why that is. I'm just like naturally shaky as a newborn chihuahua, and then get the plastic primer, because the resin counts as a plastic. Ta-da! Now you're ready to paint. I'm gonna start with a black base and work my way up from there. I'm just using black acrylic paint. No, nothing fancy here. Just craft store paint. And if you want to see the full painting process video, subscribe to our Patreon. I might release it to the public later.
Hello, friends, and welcome to my pit of despair. We have officially reached the portion of the video where I no longer give a shit. We had to take the armor out for a test drive before it was resined, so I made some repairs to it. It was mostly just paint and replacing some studs. And now I'm going to show you how to put the rivets on, because I'm just going to go like full ham with this and put all the rivets on and then resin it, because I lost control of my life. Ideally, you want to resin it before you put it all together, but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna show you how to put the rivets in.
So you line up the holes that you've drilled to be the exact width of the rivet, and then you put it in, then you stick the rivet gun on, and just squeeze with all of your tiny might.
Okay.
And voila!
This part you want to wear your safety glasses for sure, but you have to cut this off, and this is just like a diamond cutting thing, Dremel bit. It's great. I cut like pipes with this, and it's fine. Okay, nerds, now we are in the final stage of the armor making process, at least for me, for this particular armor. We're gonna resin the crap out of it. I riveted the whole thing together, and I added the buckles on with just some epoxy, and they held up really well, but that's because this armor needed to be used before I was finished with it completely. So we just we sprayed a coat of matte sealer on it that I usually use for my masks and stuff, and prayed, and it didn't get dinged up too bad. But now we're gonna add the final coat so that the paint doesn't chip and so that the studs don't pop off so much.
Yep, I'm just using EasyCast. I just mix it up, part A, part B, one part of each, and go. You're gonna want to make it as even as possible, but lots of thin coats are best. And if you do not want it to be glossy when you're done, just hit it with a very fine grit sandpaper.
So, we've got coat 1, and that pretty much wraps it. I would say like 2 to 4 coats, and it'll be ready to recoat in like anywhere between 15 and 24 hours. And yeah, I'm free. I'm free. So that's it for this week, nerds. I hope you found my demise entertaining, if not helpful. So if you make armor using this method, I would love to see how it turns out. Just remember to pace yourself and eat and drink while you're possessed by the creative demons that allow you to do art magic that mere mortals can only dream of, okay, kids? If you like our show, then please consider checking out our Patreon page, because we have big dreams and tiny wallets, so that would be super cool of you. Or check out our Etsy store if you like handmade props and prosthetics. We are also on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram, so as always, nerds, like us, subscribe to us, fight with us. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to swaddle myself in multiple snuggies, lie on the ground, and scream into the sky for 20 straight minutes. Look at the chaos that this has rendered. Look at all that. Look at that. Is that paint or blood?